Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Burning Bridges. Once again, we have an interview and a guest in the studio. This time it's my partner in crime, Morten.
Hello.
Hi, Morten. Today we're going to talk about some of the historical events Morten has made famous in Denmark, and in particular, we have an up-and-coming event. So if you got time, you might be able to join. So, Morten, just to start off, a short presentation of yourself. How long have you played Flames of War, and how long have you been organizing tournaments?
Some good questions, Søren. I told you just before the meeting that I wrote the dates down, but not when I started playing Flames of War. I think that was in 2013 or something like that. So version 3 is where I began. I had touched upon it in my youth, but not really played it. I've been organizing since 2011. So that was primarily Warhammer campaigns and tournaments in the game store that I worked at.
Okay, super. So you're quite experienced in it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Klaescon. You touched the subject with Stuart and Will in episode 3. And what is Klaescon? And
Klaescon. Klaescon is a convention or whatever we call it. It's an event based on Flames of War, of course, and it is held in one of our local guys' studio, and the guy is called Klaes, so we call it Klaescon because it's easy. And I'm doing it together with Jens Severin and Klaes. So the tripart of us are making this historical event every year in November-ish, October.
Okay, and
yeah.
It's not just an event, right? It's not just your normal tournament where you.
No, exactly. It's never been a tournament, and it will never be. We always try to make it into an historical event. So we usually find some weird historical period or battle or something, and then turn it into a Flames of War event. So there's no competition in who gets to be number one. It's more of a team competition or some kind of event where the whole team plays to beat another team.
Okay. So how does that influence the competitive players you got in Denmark and coming from abroad?
Yeah, that's also a good question, Søren. So we have some competitive players in Denmark, of course, me being one of them as well. But people tend to be really good at meeting the requirements. So we usually put in some restrictions to your list building, depending on which event it is. If it's Market Garden, then there will be a lot of restrictions to airborne units only, or so on, and that will influence the competitive players. They will of course try to break it or maximize, like Vince is talking about maybe sometimes. Yeah. I definitely see that, but it's not a huge problem. But it is something where I need to maybe make sure that the restrictions are kept even stricter towards them compared to some of our more regular guys that are more frustrated by the restrictions. So if he doesn't have the models or doesn't really know how to play these, I'm more lenient, and they will maybe just get to build something they think is fun because they know it's not going to be competitive. Whereas it's the stick for the hard gamers instead, where they get more restrictions usually.
Yeah. So you made 2 Klaescon that was historical, right? You made the Narva campaign, and you made the what was that? The
Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg.
Yes.
So the restrictions you make on the lists, where do you find them? Is it just?
Yeah. So Blitzkrieg was based on Battle of the Bulge. So we had a lot of info on that, of course. We decided to base it off a board game called Bitter Woods. So it had a map, it had units on the division level and so on. And then we just decided to make a North and South army. So one for SS and one for not regular army, like in the historical setting. And then we just dived into, okay, what kind of cool units do we want? We want to see something that is not meta, so we didn't want to see half-track spams. I don't even think it existed at that time. But we kind of wanted, okay, we know King Tigers they were there, they were used, they were a pain in the ass for those who used it. We also had Panther Force and Pandas, and we had some False Grenadiers. They were a big part of the battle. So we look at what is a big part of the battle, what had influence, and then start building some requirements, saying, okay, we would like to see the 101st Airborne in the event. We would like to see the 12th False Grenadier that Stuart played, for example. So we just start listing it. What would we like to see? And
so
ask
how
to play it.
How do you prevent then every German player from playing the same army? As in, if you want to see King Tigers, why do everybody just bring a King Tiger then, and does everybody bring 101st Airborne? Or how do you restrict that?
Usually we limit the lists, so only 2 players maybe can play 101st. Only 1 player can play the SS King Tigers, and then it's first come, first serve. So only 1 player will be Knittel with the Crazy Pumas.
Okay, nice. So you got the restrictions on the list, and it's historical. But do you put anything else in? Where I've heard you put in some curveballs, so you're not only playing 100 points list that are historical. You have another twist on top of that, right?
We've been really inspired by another Danish event that is recurring every February, which is called Østerskov. It's one of the biggest, most wanted tournaments or events in Denmark. And I have had some great games where it has been unfair. So the battles have been unfair, but the players had known it on advance that I'm not going to win this, but if I keep fighting against 2 against 1, maybe I will keep 2 players from moving on to the next area of the map or something like that. They were playing with a map. And I want to replicate that because war is not always fair. And sometimes we use these funny cards where we write a little Magic the Gathering card, basically, where we write, oh, you get some artillery, or your people can reroll defensive fire 1 turn or something. So we try to stack it in like small ways, but it could also be larger ways where I think it was last Østerskov where you could like buy a V2 rocket strike on the enemy where all units were pinned, for example. And crazy stuff like that. We like to spice things up before and after the games, but also during. So we even had at our Østerskov event last time, we had a chronosphere from Red Alert that if you took that, you could actually move 1 unit to another table, just anywhere on the table. So imagine 5, Sherman 76s just popping up into your rear end, just shooting everything. So we try to mix it up and also just make it irregular games because everybody has been playing for so long that they know the normal tactics and so on, right? So we want to especially push the competitive player a bit.
Okay, so at Blitzkrieg ohne Benzin, you had the theme was that the German were lacking benzene, fuel. They had to pay fuel, what I call tokens, to move the units. So that was kind of the theme for the Blitzkrieg event. Now you're doing Market Garden. What are your resources this time? What are people trying to get or can you give us a little?
I think we have mentioned it as well in our event. So the main resource in Market Garden will be time, because everybody's talking about time in Market Garden. They have 3 days to reach the Arnhem Bridge. It never happens, of course, but they have X number of days to reach stuff. The same for the Germans. They have X number of days to close off gaps. They need to, surround the American paratroopers and so on before the British arrive. So everything is in a timely fashion. They need to make counterattacks before, the British paratroopers are too strong, for example. So everything is time-based, or well, not will not be totally one-to-one time-based, but we have focused around time as a resource now, meaning that, for example, when you lose units, they stay dead for your next game, unless you pay for replenishment. And replenishment takes time. That you should, like, your commander is trying to get new squads into their platoons, and they're gonna grab some people running away, typically the Germans. Just grab some people and put them into their units. So that will take time. The same for the paratroopers. It takes time to gather their units into a strong force. And this is a great way to counter the competitive players, because they want the challenge. So they're gonna say, I'm not gonna wait for anyone. I'm gonna continue with what I have. Meanwhile, the 30 core units will have way more points, but will also lose units. So if they lose their units, they will lose more and more momentum. But they might have enough to push through and make it to the bridges. And the same for the Germans. So time is what you will fight for in the games. So tables will probably have some droppings, like airdrops, where you can run over and take them like an objective, and then score some time points that you can spend on extra firestorm units that you gathered, or replenish your units. And there won't be enough points for everyone. So that's also the cool thing, that the team has to decide, okay, you, Søren, you need to break through with your tanks and go to the bridge, so you will get the resource points. And then hope that the German that you're gonna fight didn't get it.
Yeah, so the point is that if one player just keeps grabbing all the resources, the team will lose. So it's you have to be a team. You have to work together and have a battle plan. Like the X player will do this, and then he might need to, and the group of players need to distribute them between them. Also, one of the things that makes Klaescon special is it's an all-inclusive event, and everybody loves all-inclusive. So when I say all-inclusive, what's that, Morten?
Well, we're still figuring out if the beer should be included or not, but we'll find out. But yes, all-inclusive. Jens is gonna make the food, so he has a sous vide. So he's gonna, make some nice food for Friday and Saturday. We're gonna have lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever you need. The games are Friday night, where you get dinner first, and then all Saturday, where you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I guess, and then breakfast Sunday.
Nice. And you also you can also sleep at the venue, right?
Yeah. Klaes has like an upper story where people can sleep. They just need to bring their own sleeping gear, and we'll of course do something for the foreigners who can bring a bed.
So when is it? Do you have a date for Market Garden, and do you still get room?
The Market Garden event is the 8th and 9th of November, so Friday and Saturday. And we still have some room. We had some dropouts, so we have 22 people signed up right now and can maybe push in 4 more or something. Nice. We are lacking some allied players right now. So if anyone wants to play something that is not British Airborne, then they're free to come.
They're free to come.
Or maybe also some Germans if we fill up some stuff, but just ask me.
Okay, so who should they contact? How do people get in touch with you? Me. Who are you? You're Morten Schmidt.
I'm Morten Peter Schmidt, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who's posting a lot of stuff in the Danish stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, so put a post. Yeah, or contact me, put a post
comment field,
in the comment in YouTube or wherever you see this video, then grab hold of us.
Yeah.
And we'll get it to Morten. Well, Morten, thank you for taking time to do a little different, and hopefully people will enjoy it just as much. Stuart and Will they've come 2 times, right?
Yes,
to Denmark, and they're coming again.
Yeah.
And I hear we have
once.
Yes. And Tim is coming up from Holland next time and stuff. So a lot of people are coming, and people are very welcoming. People we talk to always say that it's it's one of the best things about Klaescon is that you spend a lot of time with people and you sit after the events
Yeah.
and talk and you eat together and have fun. So
Yeah.
it's not just playing swords. It's
No, exactly. Last year we got drunk Friday evening, unintentionally, but there was some drinking rules that we stole from Iceland. Yeah.
hopeless. But it's
But
not a
yeah,
requirement. Everybody can come. You don't have to drink. You don't
That's
have
true.
to.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
just come and have fun. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Morten.
No problem.
So, okay, see you.
Bye.